أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I begin in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, and I seek refuge in Allah from shaitan the accursed. Assalamu alaikum, peace and guidance, greetings, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. All depends on where you are located in your part of the world. Very quickly, I just want to highlight a promise that I made after my last video, that I'm going to come with another video to bring more information to you as regards to this COVID-19 situation here in Trinidad and Tobago and the world. Also, I would have pointed out that that information would be very important as regards to you having to make an informed decision whether or not to take the vaccine or not to take the vaccine. And also it speaks to the whole narrative of whether or not the COVID-19 pandemic actually exists. Now, I would have told you I did 5 videos previously entitled The Truth About COVID-19, and I did at that time promise to do another video, which is the same promise that I made to you all. So this is actually the start of that 6th video. You know, but first of all, I want to, and there's a need to address the elephant in the room. So we need to get certain things out of the way, because, you know, people have been commenting and you know, saying all sorts of things, calling me anti-vax and you know, UNC supporter and that sort of thing. I just want to state categorically clear here today that I am not anti-vax, all right? My children have been vaccinated. I have a 1-year and 6-month-old boy who still has to get some of his shots, and I'm not going to prevent him from getting those shots. Specifically, I have a problem with these particular vaccines that has been rolled out, claiming to treat with the COVID-19. That is what I have a problem with. I want to make it absolutely clear. And there are reasons for that. And we're going to go into that in a short bit. The other thing is that I am not affiliated with any political party. I'm not aligned with any political party. I do not, you know, throw my support behind any political party or any political entity in this country. Apart from the fact that if it is they're doing something to benefit the general population, all of the citizens in Trinidad and Tobago, and they're treating justly and fairly with the persons, all persons in Trinidad and Tobago, that's the only time you will find me lending my support and you know, endorsing what it is they're doing. Other than that, no. Right? I want to make that absolutely clear, because if the UNC government was in power today, they would have had the same relationship with the WHO as this government, right, is having with them now, right? They would have had the same relationship, and we would have been talking about the same issues, and I would have been given and talking in the same manner as I'm talking now, right? So don't get me wrong, all right? What I'm doing here is representing all of Trinidad and Tobago, not just those who don't want to get the vaccine, but also those who, you know, make a decision, and a conscious decision that to get vaccinated, all right? We don't want to create a division. We don't want to create two sets of, you know, sides, so two sets of people here in Trinidad and Tobago fighting and quarreling amongst each other and so on, all right? Because while we're doing all of that, the enemy is galloping. They're way ahead of us, And they're doing what they need to do. All right? They're continuing their charade, they're continuing their campaign with regards to convincing persons that what they are actually doing is the right thing. And they're not breaking the law. That's what they're doing. But in fact, in truth and in fact, they are breaking the law. All right? They're criminals in every sense of the word. All right? And I have no apology to say that. So what is needed at this point in time? Right? A lot of people are saying, you know, they don't agree with what the government is doing. They're complaining, all sorts of issues. People who are going to the health institutions, the problems they're having, challenges that they're encountering, and all of that. We have persons who would have taken the vaccines and they would have had adverse effects as a result of taking vaccines. Just yesterday, I learned there was a situation where one particular person, a woman, had gone to take a vaccine, and she was contemplating whether or not, you know, because she has some underlying, you know, complications. She's a bleeder, and she asked the nurse, you know, if this would in any way affect her, and all of that. So the nurse told her that she can't say, and she's unable to answer that question. She will have to check with the specialist. So the specialist came, and the same question was put to the specialist, and he indicated that he himself don't know either. All right. So here this woman is sitting on the chair trying to decide whether or not to take this vaccine or not. This is a life changer. After that vaccine goes into her, it can't come out. So while she was there thinking, the nurse gave her the injection. Yeah. In 2021. That's what's happening in Trinidad and Tobago in our health institutions. This woman got vaccinated without giving her consent. When she asked the nurse what went on there, the nurse said, "But I thought you made up your mind." It's crazy. Now the girl is suffering from headaches. I think she was advised to go to the St. Clair Hospital. I don't know what has become of that situation as we speak. So, and that's just one out of many. That's just one out of many. You know, so we have to move from this point, this place where we are, in talking about it, getting the message out there, posting our stuff, forming groups, WhatsApp groups, you name it, you know, bringing people together, registering organizations, all of that, you know, to deal with this COVID-19 situation. And, you know, while it is we're doing all of that, like I said, the enemy is galloping. Right. They're way ahead. Okay? And they have been, you know, doing all sorts of things, trying to get this information out there, encouraging people, forcing people, however you want to call it. All right? I've seen on television there has been numerous ads with persons of, you know, of some sort of influence encouraging people to take vaccine. I even saw one ad with a Muslim, you know, talking about the vaccine and the encouraging persons to take it and all of that. But you know, it's strange how you would somehow find those verses in the religious text to support an action, when in truth and in fact that action is of a criminal nature. And the thing about it is that I just want to point out a couple of things, but before I get there, so we need to move from where we are. All right, we need to go to the other step. And what I'm proposing is that, you know, we need to form ourselves into a movement, not just an organization, but a movement to move from where we are to where we want to be. And that movement, I would want to, you know, to call it the first wave. Okay? So that first wave is coming. That first wave is going to establish those guidelines as to how we are going to get to our objective. So what you all need to do, all those individuals, all you people who are listening to this video, you need to get on board. You need to catch that wave. You need to catch that wave, and let's ride that wave and come on shore and present what it is needs to be presented, because people need to be informed, right? They need to have the information so that before they take this vaccine, that is going to be a life changer, not just for themselves, but for the entire family, the entire home structure. It's going to be a total game changer, all right? And what we are saying is that this corona scandal, right, is just another ploy. It's just another ploy to take this world into a direction for total control. For total control, all right? And we have to be mindful of this, all right? They did it 9/11, they did it. They lied about 9/11, and that was intended to change the whole dynamic, right? 9/11. They lied about Korea. We know about that. That was done. That changed the whole dynamics as well. They lied about Iraq. That also changed the whole dynamic. They lied about Vietnam. That also changed the whole dynamic. They lied about World War I. That also changed the whole dynamic. You understand? What makes you think that they are telling the truth about the COVID-19? What makes you think they are telling the truth about the COVID-19? Come on, people. What makes you think that? In 2010, Bill Gates made a statement alluding to depopulating the world, talking about depopulation, and one of the methods cited in that talk, the method they're going to use is using vaccines, and they're coming 10 years after to tell me that they have a vaccine to save my life, when I know in 2010 you said this. Right? So we have to be very careful. We have to be very cautious, and we have to be strategic in approaching this issue. All right? And the government, up until now, they're not listening. They're not taking the advice. All right? I would have engaged the Ministry of Health sometime back. There is a company that had introduced a product here, or wants to introduce a product here in Trinidad. It's a sanitizer. The whole entire range, hand, surface, all of everything, and it's called Shield, and it's actually a non-alcoholic based sanitizer, right? And it has been proven that it is 99.9%, right, effective. So effective that if you use it on your hands, it stays on your hands for the entire day, even if you wash your hands, okay? And it is non-alcoholic, right? It's a non-alcoholic based product. It's using nanoparticles, that technology. So the surface sanitizer, it stays on the surface for up to 3 weeks. 3 weeks. So it brings down, it reduces the bacterial load on surfaces. Okay? I have this is all the reports, all the research that went into this product. All right? I would have introduced this to the Ministry of Health. All right? Sent them a nice email and explained everything about this product. And how this could help in the fight against, bacteria, infectious diseases, etc., etc. If that is what they are all about. And you know what they responded and told me? that they are getting guidelines from the WHO. The WHO, a private institution that has been funded by a private citizen, right? And this private citizen, he's not even a doctor. He's a thief. He's a con man, a con artist. Bill Gates. All right? And you're telling me that something that is presented to you, that has been proven effective, it has FDA approval, EPA approval, okay? And also WHO has recognized this product as effective. I have all the emails and everything. It's all here. It's all here. It's all here. It's all here. And they're telling me that they are taking guidelines on W. So they want you, the public, to constantly be using hand sanitizers, alcohol-based hand sanitizers. So every time you go into a shopping establishment, a store, or the supermarket or wherever, you have to sanitize your hand. Alcohol-based hand sanitizer stays on your hand for 30 seconds. After that, bacteria starts to gather again. 30 seconds. All right? This is a product that stays on your hand the entire day, even if you wash it. And it's also very, very soothing on your hands as well. Your hand actually feels like a glove, like you have on a glove. All right? And they refuse it. Because why? They're taking guidelines from, according to the CMO and the Minister of Health and the Prime Minister. They're following the science, right? They're following the science. Well, I only hope that science is correct, right? For our sake, I only hope that science is correct, right? And we'll see where that goes there in a little bit, right? So, if anybody is interested, contact me, 365-6253, all right? The other thing is that I know of an individual who is a military personnel out of this country, all right? He's in another country, and he would have sent pertinent information to the Ministry of Health, indicating to them the flaws of this whole pandemic, right? And the nonsense surrounding the vaccines. And to date, that person would have never gotten a response from the Ministry of Health. Never. Not even thank you for your correspondence. We would take it into consideration, or we would acknowledge it, and we would get back in contact with you. Not even that. That's how arrogant our Ministry of Health institutions are in this country. That's how arrogant they are. All right? So I want to be absolutely clear on what it is I'm saying. All right? I am not aligned with the government. I'm not aligned with the opposition. I'm not aligned with no other party in this country. I have a good relationship with a lot of some of the ministers. I have a good relationship with a lot of the opposition ministers and so on. All right? And that relationship is mutual. All right? I support them in what it is they do, whatever is good for the nation, whatever good for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. If whatever they're doing, whatever they're challenging, and it's for the betterment of the public, the betterment of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, I would support them. All right? Once it is just and fair, I am going to support it. They're going to have my 100% support. All right? So I'm not afraid of the government silencing me or trying to silence me like they would have done with some of the reporters, you know, and they would do with some of the media. All right? They can't do that to me. The most they could do is pull on my video from YouTube, or pull it down from Facebook. There are other sites, independent sites that I could post my stuff on, and they can't touch it. All right? So come when you're ready. Come with your evidence. Come with all your nonsense evidence, right? And let's sit down and debate this issue, right? Let's sit down and debate this issue. Now, I'm not claiming to be a doctor, and I'm not claiming to be a scientist, right? But if you look carefully in my description box, you're going to see a whole list of material, references, books, videos, lectures, and so on, that you, the public, people who are listening to this video, could actually go and access the information for yourself. Look at it yourself. Do the research. Look at it yourself, and you'll see I'm not lying to you. I'm being honest. I am being honest. Right? This beard and this turban represents something. It doesn't represent a lie. Right? It does not represent a person that is about to rob you or rip you off. It doesn't represent somebody who's coming to take away from you your rights, your privileges, your freedoms. It doesn't represent that. This represents truth. It represents peace. And it represents goodwill. So let's get with the program. All right? Now again, I'm telling you all, if it is you all want the government to change their narrative and to reverse their decisions, there's only one way to do that. And let me tell you how. The government, they would only pay attention to what has political value. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by that? There was one particular minister, when he was asked the question, why it is, after so many years, government gone, government come, the issues regarding prisoners and the conditions under which they've been kept, and their long delays before the courts and all these things, why has those issues not been dealt with by the governments? Gone and present. And you know what his answer was? He said, because that doesn't have political value. It doesn't have political value. It doesn't translate into votes. Right? Because if you see all the complaints coming out of prison, those prisoners, they can't vote. Right? You ever see their families come on the street and protest anything? You ever see the family in front of a camera and talking about anything? Some of their families think that it's good that they're in prison probably, or something of the sort. All right, and I would often tell them, because I'm one of those advocates that is advocating for change within the prison system and so on, that if it is you want change, you need to get your families, your friends, your loved ones to come out in their numbers, in the hundreds of thousands, right? And then the government is going to pay attention. Then the government is going to pay attention to you, you know, talking from behind a prison bar, yeah? Inside of a cell. You think government going to pay attention to you? No, they're not going to pay attention. You don't represent the voting public, all right? But there are 100,000 people come on the street to talk about, to support you, and talk about your problem. What about the government pay attention to them? All right? So this is what we have to recognize. I also remember one day I was talking to a special branch officer, and I was passing on some information to him which relates as regards to human trafficking here in this country. And I actually gave him two names of two prominent members in this country who are involved in human trafficking. And two of them were part of the medical field. All right. And what I indicated when I told him that, and I gave him the information, you know what he told me? A special branch officer. He said that the government would not, you know, pay attention to that. That's not what they're interested in. The government is only interested in people who wants to overthrow them and usurp the power. That's what the government is interested in, right? So anybody who threatens their power, threatens the seat of power, and threatens their authority, that's who the government is going to pay attention to. That's what he told me, all right? So now we understand clearly what is going to sway the decision of the government. Let us understand what we need to do. We need to come together in huge numbers, right? Already, those individuals who have cited that they don't support the vaccination drive, they don't want to take the vaccine, are in the 60% range, right? It was about 70-something a couple about 2 weeks ago, I guess it was, or 3 weeks ago, and now it's at 60%, 60 or 63% or somewhere around there. All right. So out of the farm, because of the fear mongering, right, by government and business institution, companies and so on, right, they would have forced 10%, right, to change their minds, right, and go and take the vaccine by force, right. So people are not making informed decisions; they're making decisions based on force, all right. Their lives are being threatened, their health is being threatened, their wealth is being threatened, right. And this is the most important thing for anybody in any country, all right. So when we look at the government, they would only pay attention to these things. So in other words, once these numbers can be translated into votes, that's when the government is going to pay attention. Now, the most valuable asset of any country is its people, right? The most valuable asset of any country is its people. It's its human resource. And those persons in huge numbers represent political, I would call it political currency or political asset, right? And once that political currency or political asset is traded at the polls on election day, right, it is transferred into power, right? Meaning to say you'll be giving power or putting power into the hands of a political party or, those persons who would have gone up for the elections, right? Now, if those persons know that if they continue along this vein, with this narrative about forced vaccinations, taking away people's freedoms, locking down the country, shutting down businesses and so on, if political parties and the government know that there are people in great numbers that is not going to support you, they're not going to vote for you, if it is you continue with this narrative, they're going to have to reverse their decisions. They're going to have to reverse it. They have no other choice. They have no other choice. The most important thing for any person in this country, for anybody, is their health and their wealth. And if you mess with that, you are going to be messing with your political career. I am warning you, right? And this drive that we are on, this movement that we have and we are initiating is going to do exactly that, all right? We're not going to no longer see people aligning themselves with a political party because it is the PNM or it is the UNC, it is yellow, it is red, it is green, or whatever the case may be. Because the real issues affecting people's health in this country and people's wealth in this country is being destroyed. It's being destroyed by these political parties and these governments. It's being destroyed. And we need to take a stand now, right? And let me inform you, or let me remind you, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, you are our employees. We are your employer. Just keep that in mind. We are your employer. We are your boss, right? So you cannot continue to be arrogant and ignorant of the facts. You cannot. All right? Faris already talking about, oh, he can't reveal the attorneys that are getting briefs from the government and that sort of thing. All right? Who you feel you are? You working for me, brother man. You working for me. I'm your boss. Right? We have call member, what he's talking about? Oh, he's concerned about people not dying, right? The old people, they're living too long, that kind of nonsense. Brother man, in another country, you would have been fired, right? You would have been on the breadline. And in some countries, you might have been 6 feet under, right? So don't come and play that you could make your statements and get away with it, right? You made too much statements in the past and got away with it. Nobody tell you nothing. Nobody do you nothing for it, right? Talking about, oh, people have protested yet, so you could raise the price of gas, right? What nonsense you're talking about? What nonsense you're talking about, right? We have the ideal opportunity now. Persons in Trinidad and Tobago have the ideal opportunity now to come forward and stand firm on these issues. Because why? You are affecting our health and wealth, our future, our children's future, our children's education. All these things are being affected. And you are taking or following the science. You are following the science. That's what you're saying, you know. You're following the science. Let me just make one quote. There's a particular issue that I wanted to go through quickly with you all, but there was a quote by a man by the name of Victor Schuschenberger. All right, I hope I'm doing justice to the pronunciation of the name. All right, and he said, "People think that I am crazy. Maybe they are right. In this case, it does not matter whether they are there is one more fool more or less on the earth. But if it turns out that I am right and that science is wrong," what science are they talking about? They're talking about the WHO science. They're talking about Dr. Fauci science. They're talking about the CMO science. They're talking about the Minister of Health science. They're talking about Prime Minister Rowley science. That's the science they're talking about, right? If it turns out that I am right and that science is wrong, then God have mercy on mankind. Right? Then God have mercy on mankind. I only hope that that fake science that they're following, right, is correct. And we already seen the effects of that on citizens in Trinidad and Tobago. That same science that they're following, and people taking it and going and getting vaccinated, they are suffering from adverse effects. I spoke to a doctor and he endorsed that. Patients coming into him with who has taken the vaccine are complaining of adverse effects of this vaccine, and there are a number of deaths that have occurred as a result of it. But they're covering that up. All right. The CMO would have made mention that there was one case in Princeton, but you know why he had to say that? You know why he had to say that? Because TV6 carried it. TV6 carried it. So he had to say it. Right? But if TV6 didn't carry it, he would have never said it had one case in Princeton. He would have hid that too. He would have hid that also. Right? I'm talking about, this situation where doctors are being advised in America. Doctors are being advised in America to tell their patients, okay, we do not use the AstraZeneca vaccine here. It's not allowed here in America. And the Johnson & Johnson, we have stopped it or we have banned it. Right? So who given the population the AstraZeneca? Trinidad and Tobago. The government of Trinidad and Tobago. Right? When doctors are being advised to alleviate concerns that their patients may have as a result of taking these vaccines and getting adverse effects, the doctors are advising their patient, well, no, we're not taking that AstraZeneca vaccine here, and we have banned the Johnson & Johnson, right? So that is enough to alleviate any fears that their patients may have, right? But who given it to the population? Trinidad and Tobago government, right? The Ministry of Health, the CMO, right? These are the persons who are encouraging persons to take the AstraZeneca vaccine here, right? And the Johnson & Johnson, we're getting how much? 800 through the COVAX facility, right? Who do you think formulated? Who do you think rolled out that COVAX facility? Who do you think did that? Same Bill Gates, right? So it's only profits all around. Profits, right? No concern about the health of people throughout the globe. No concern about the health of people, right? So Very quickly, I want to go through. Oh, before I reach to that point, a lot of people are talking about the efficacy of the vaccines and so on. Well, let me tell you all something. There is something called there's a subject called mathematics, all right, or commonly called maths, right? Everybody knows that subject. Some people like it, some people love it, some people hate it. Okay? But we would have been taught basic mathematical, problems in school and how to solve these problems and what have you and so on. So we have been told, and these are the numbers coming out of the CDC, all right, and the WHO. These are not our numbers. We're not making up these numbers, all right? So what they're saying is that persons who have the COVID-19 virus stands or has a 99.9% survival rate, meaning to say you have a 99.9% chance of surviving the COVID-19, all right? But they want you to take the vaccine to save your life. They want you to take the vaccine to save your life. Now, I even want to go into the area of those who have had the COVID and developed a natural immunity to the COVID and how catastrophic it's going to be if they are injected with a vaccine, right? I even want to go into that, right? Because why? We're following the science, right? The science that coming out, the fake science that coming out of WHO, right? And the CDC and the amount of the CMO, the amount of the national, the Minister of Health and the Prime Minister, right? That's the science we follow in, right? So I ain't want to get into that. But we go talk about that. We go talk about it, right? Just wait and see. So they're saying that we have a 99.9% chance of, surviving the COVID-19. So they want you to take the vaccine. Now, the vaccine now, the Pfizer, which has the highest efficacy rate, is what? 91% according to the CDC. So if it is that you're telling me my chances of surviving the COVID-19 is 99.9% without taking a vaccine. But if I take the vaccine, I'll have 91% chance. Wait. Let me say that again. If I have the COVID-19, I have a 99.9% chance of surviving the virus. But if I take the vaccine, the Pfizer, right, which the government secretly brought into the country, and lying and telling the population that they didn't know nothing, but all of a sudden, I didn't know where the orders came from for army personnel to be on the tarmac without custom officials being notified, right? So something went wrong there, and so yeah, some big man they know. Who's the biggest man in the country? I'll keep him mouth shut. Who's the biggest man in the country? I'll keep him mouth shut, right? Anyways, so 91%. You're telling me that if I take the vaccine, I'm going to have 91%, so my chances reduce by 8%. If I take the Sinovac, my chances reduce again, 51%. The Johnson & Johnson that come in, my chances going to reduce down to 66%. The Sinopharm that we're taking right now, that the Prime Minister bumping up the gum about, have a 79% efficacy, right? The AstraZeneca, the famous AstraZeneca, 60%. Yeah? Let me tell you something. That is add good and that is minus good, right? That is add good and that is minus good. And it will be an insult to the founding members, to the founding fathers of this country and our education system, right? to spread this nonsense. To spread this nonsense. So all you people who are going to take the vaccine, before you took the vaccine, you had a 99.9% chance of survival. You went and take the vaccine, it reduced now. You have a less % chance of survival. Right? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Right? Now, very quickly, I want to go through some of the objectives of this new initiative, this new movement. All right, this first wave. All right. Now there are a number of organizations would have formed themselves, or persons would have come together and formed themselves into organizations in the country, and I would have been having discussions with all of those individuals. We've had a meeting just recently, two nights ago, I think it was, and we had the trade union representative of the trade unions on board. We had the doctors, we had lawyers, representatives from the different religious bodies, and so on. And we would have, civil society, and we would have discussed this matter in detail in some way, and we would have come to certain conclusions on how it is we need to go forward. So there are certain objectives that I just want to throw out there, and I want people who are listening to this video take note of this and understand that we are about change, positive change. We are not taking this country down a path where there's no return. All right. We are not about the business of the how do you call them, the roadmap to recovery committee. You understand? We are not about that business. That is not a roadmap to recovery. That's our roadmap to destruction. A roadmap to destruction. That committee doesn't even have a trade union representative on board. That committee doesn't even have a religious representative on board. Right? So that has to be a roadmap to destruction, right? Only PNM finances, right? Only yes men. Only a set of yes men in that committee. Not even the opposition is a member of that committee, anybody from the opposition, right? So, I mean, come on, man, right? So first of all, our first objective, right, is to prevent constitutional change that mandate COVID-19 vaccine for any citizen, regardless of age, physical constitution, or occupation. All right? So we want to prevent that. Okay? We want to maintain and preserve the rights of persons here in this country. All right? Number 2. All right? Persons must be given full and prior information, or must be informed. It must be an informed consent. Must be made available to those choosing the vaccine. All right? So you have to give people that opportunity, all right, to be informed, all right, and get the information and get their consent, right? There has to be consent. You cannot force them, right? It's either yes or no, right? Those who want to take it, okay. Those who don't want to take it, okay, all right? No big fight. You understand? Number 3, prevent actions by companies, government institutions, other bodies and entities or persons that seek to mandate or coerce vaccinations on their employees by threatening loss of job, income, or any other form of penalty. So we are seriously on track with that. And like I said in my last video, anybody having any issues job related, call me. My number is 365-6253. 365-6253. Right? Call me. Even if you're having concerns about your health and wants to make a decision whether or not health a decision that's going to affect your health and so on. Call me. All right. Like I said, we've been having discussions with doctors and so on, and I can very well put you in contact with individuals, with persons who would guide you along and give you the right information, right, and would give you the right treatment for what it is you're suffering with. All right, because so far the WHO, the CDC, they haven't gotten it as yet, right? They haven't gotten the memos yet that the hydrochloroquine and the Mectin, right, is working, right? Fantastically, it's working, right? So they didn't get a memo yet, all right? But there are doctors in this country who have been treating their patients with it, and they have been getting 100% recovery and 100%, positive, response from their patients. Okay? So call me, 365-6253. I know the government can't tell you that. I know the government can't tell you, well, if you take the vaccine, I'm guaranteeing you 100%. The government could never tell you that, right? Umar Abdullah telling you, I could guarantee you 100%, right? The persons I will put you on to, or the direct people where I will direct you to go, you are going to be given 100%. All right? The government can't do that. They can't tell you, well, if it I'm giving you 100% guarantee. I'm willing to sign a document. I'm willing to. Never would they do that. All right? That's government for your money. Number 4, disclosure of vaccine status in reporting COVID-19 health impacts. That is not happening in Trinidad. They're hiding all our information. They're losing files. You go, families have had this experience. Families have had this experience, right? Number 5, lobby the government to institute a web-based Trinidad and Tobago vaccine adverse effects reporting platform or system. If they can't do that, we have organizations, individuals who are well prepared and equipped to do it. All right? So I can give you a list of those organizations and names of those individuals. So if you can't do it as is the norm, you can't do nothing, right? As is the norm. I will give you those list of organizations and those names that will very well be able to do that, all right, and give us the real figures and the real numbers. Number 6, and this is important, to promote harmony amongst the citizens regardless of decision to accept or decline the vaccination. So we don't want to war amongst ourselves. We don't want to create enemies, all right? The enemy, we know who are the enemies, all right? We know are the persons who are feeding us this information, who are trying to silence us, those who are trying to, muzzle the media. They want the media, they want the reporters to ask them easy questions, right? They don't want no tough questions. They don't want the media questioning their policies. They don't want people doing that. So when people start doing that, they start to complain and they make a big, hullabaloo about it. And, these media companies, sorry to say, they don't know better. Matt is dead in the water. Nothing is coming out of Matt to stand up for their reporters, stand up for their membership. And that is a very sad thing in this country, Trinidad and Tobago. As far as I'm concerned, we are heading down that path of total anarchy. And if it is, we do not take back control of our economy, of our citizens, we are going to lose it. And we're going to lose it forever. All right? So all those persons who are listening to this video, take heed of all of this. Number 7, overall equality and justice in national response to declared pandemics. All right? To declared pandemics. That's a general statement. I'm not talking about this pandemic. I'm talking about pandemics in general. Okay? Legitimate pandemics, not a plandemic like this one. All right? So, I would want to stop there for now. Just a couple other things I just want to bring to the fore about some basic information. If it is you want, you could go and search it up and so on and so forth. We have to keep in mind this vaccine that they have created now. It's not like the normal vaccine that will actually remain in your blood plasma. This vaccine actually goes throughout your entire body, within your organs and all of that. It actually takes over the actions of your immune system. That is what it does. All right? So your immune system is no longer in control. This vaccine actually takes control of your immune system, the actions of your immune system. So what is intended is not what is going to be the outcome. Your immune system is going to attack everything that this vaccine tells it to attack. Everything, right? So you would perhaps get sick from other diseases, get other infections and so on. Because why? Because of what is happening inside of you. All right? Some people are saying, okay, well, I took the vaccine, I'm okay. Yes, you're okay for the time being. I agree. Your body is different from another person's body. Your whole immune reaction is different from another person's. Your metabolic rate is different from another person. Your lifestyle is different. Your environment is different. So there are different factors that will constitute whether or not a person will be adversely affected now or later down the road. And I'll give you a scenario. When people get sick, all right, there is one common underlying cause for that sickness, okay? And it's not transferable, it's not infection that they would get from other persons. Because in 1918, when the Spanish flu was killing millions of people, what they did, the researchers, they took 100 persons who were sick and 100 persons who were well. All right? No, not sick. And they had the 100 persons who were sick, cough up, cold and snot and all of that. And they took those samples and actually placed it in the nostrils and in the throat of those individuals who were not sick. All right? And you know what happened? Nobody got sick. Nobody got sick. So they decided, well, okay, let's try something else. All right? So they took samples out from these persons, and actually injected into the veins of the persons who were well. And guess what happened? None of them got sick. So then they decided that perhaps if people spend a lot of time together in close proximity with each other and so on, perhaps that might cause them to get infected and so on. So they did that. They did 100 people, spend time with people who were well. And they told them to bring their mouths close together and breathe the air, right? Exhale the air into the mouth of the well person and have that well person swallow that air. That was done. And guess what happened? Nobody got sick. Nobody got sick. All right? 3 attempts was made to put this, how to put it, this infectious theory, all right, to the test. 3 attempts, all right? And the 3 attempts failed. The 3 attempts failed, all right? So that says a lot. It says that all this mask wearing and the social distancing and all of that, it's not, it doesn't make sense. Because if in 1918 this experiment was done and none of the individuals got sick, none of them got sick, not one of them, right? Come in. Somebody's knocking at my door. You hear me? Dave? Check the door. Somebody knocking the door. Yeah, sorry about that. So none of those persons got sick. All right? So when we look at what is being rolled out now and the information that is being spread around, and we've been told that, oh, you have to wear the mask because you can't breathe in the air the other person is breathing. This was done in 1918 with the Spanish flu. It killed 50 million people. 50 million people died. Huh? And the mask you're talking about, what? The N95 mask, right? The pores in that mask is 1/1,000,000th of a meter. All right? 1/1,000,000th of a meter. You know how small the exosomes or the virus are? 1/1,000,000th of a meter. That's like a 6-foot man walking through a 60-foot door. There's no way you could prevent that from happening. All right? So, and this is according to their information. This is not mine. I didn't make that up. I didn't make it up. Right? Go and check it out yourself. Right? And how many people wearing the N95 mask? Right? How many people wearing the N95 mask? Right? Just give me a, just check below. All right, sorry about that. How many people wearing the N95 mask? Right? They're wearing cloth masks. Right? All kind of masks you're finding, all kind of masks you're finding people buying in the stores and in the shops and so on. Right? And you could as well imagine the difference between the N95 and those masks. Right? The N95 is way up there. Right? Way up there. And the N95 mask, the pores in that mask is 1/1,000,000th of a meter, as opposed to the virus, which is 1/1,000,000th of a meter. That's like a 6-foot man walking through a 60-foot door, right? And that is not, I didn't make that up, right? Check it yourself. So when you look at this whole aspects of this vaccine and what it actually does, it actually takes over your immune system, the actions of your immune system. So be careful, people, in making that decision, in going forward and putting yourself at risk, putting your families at risk. There are these systems that were set up all over the world, the adverse effects reporting system. The CDC had contracted, listen to this, the CDC had contracted the Harvard researchers to look at the figures. And you know what they reported back? That less than 1% of cases have been reported on these platforms. Less than 1%. And already those numbers are very alarming. Already those numbers are alarming. So what if it was a 10% or 20%? Yeah, no, man, you're talking about fear-mongering? We'd have been scared out of our pants. Right? Look at the numbers right now. Look at those numbers. And that is less than 1% reporting. And it's obviously it's a voluntary thing, because doctors would have to give of their time and go and fill out forms and make sure that they put this information out there and that sort of thing. They don't have time for that. All these patients they have to be looking after and all of that. Doctors don't have time for that. So obviously, when they saw that, they decided to actually, practically shut down some of those systems because it wasn't making any sense. Right? But we need to set up one here in Trinidad and Tobago. And we need to inform people, right, what are the effects of and how much people are suffering as a result of taking those vaccines and so on, so that people will be more well informed before they make that decision. Okay? And the last thing I want to point out is that there are treatment for this virus, if you want to call it COVID-19 or the common flu or whatever. The World Doctors Alliance have concluded that it is a virus, a seasonal flu that occurs between December and May or April, I think it is. All right. So there is treatment. There are doctors in Trinidad and Tobago who are applying that treatment, right? Other than the treatment they're getting in the public health institutions when they go to put in on the oxygen mask and they're giving you Panadol and they're giving you drips, right? They're treating the patients, that's the wrong treatment, and people are going to get sick, right? And on top of that, people who would have gotten the COVID-19 and gotten well, got over the COVID-19, build a natural immunity, you want to vaccinate those people? That is going to be catastrophic. And we're going to get to that. We are going to get to that. Check it out, do your research. Ask your doctor, ask your nurse friend, or whosoever. Let them explain it, how it's going to be catastrophic. Let them explain that to you. All right? So we are prepared. We are prepared, and we are set and ready to move forward, to stand firm with you. All those persons who have made the decision not to take the vaccine, we are prepared to stand firm with you. I give you my number, 365-6253. 365-6253. Call me. Any problem you have, call me. I am going to address it. I am not the government, so I'm telling you the truth. I'm going to address it. All right? It's only the government that makes promises and doesn't fulfill their promises. I'm going to fulfill mine. Okay? So, like I said, actually unable to go through all the issues that I really needed to go through in this video. So there's going to be a part 2 to this video. All right, there's going to be a part 2. All right, so we're still continuing to ride this wave, this first wave that is going to bring the information, that is going to set the standards, and that is going to lay the groundwork for us moving forward and getting the government to getting government to reverse their lockdown policy, to reverse their restriction policy, and to reverse their vaccine mandate policy. Okay, so this is what it is we're all about. And you know, share this video. Like I said, check in my description box, you'll see all the references to those books and lectures and so on. Take a look at it, take a good look, you know, read the material and inform yourself. And again, I cannot enough iterate the importance of you getting in contact with me. Any problem you have, call me, 365-6253. Okay? Take care and have a wonderful day.